good to speak to you again. I'll just start with reflections on Saturday. Have you managed to come down from the high of that just yet?
But you know, I'll be honest, it sort of left a little mark on me and everyone really. I think we were still talking about it when we came back to training, just because of obviously the performance and the result, but the atmosphere was electric, and it's given us a taste of I say the potential. We've seen it in other moments and other games, but not to that actual level. And it was, I'm so glad for the supporters that we managed to play like that and win like that. I think it was important to do so. So first of all, to get the 3 points, but just to sort of give them that reward for the support that they give us, week in, week out. But certainly last Saturday was something special, really.
Is it one that will stick in the memory for a long time, do you think? The atmosphere and obviously a performance to match it as well? Yeah,
I think it will be one of those where you compare all the games in the future back to that one, or the atmosphere, but also the performance. For me, I think we set a benchmark in a game where we will review that and use that going forward, for little moments and certain aspects of the game. And certainly for the experience of the players going into that game with such a big expectant crowd behind us, to manage that sort of that feeling, that emotion, and play so well is really fulfilling. But look, we need to keep it in context. Because we've got big games right from now to the end of the season. But it's right to acknowledge what I felt was a special game for us.
Just on that point that you mentioned there, how easy or hard has it been to sort of bring the players back down to earth as well? As you say, you've got to prepare now for another 8 games. You can't keep dwelling on that one.
No, well, look, I think we all thought about it over the weekend, but then once we come back to work, we reviewed the game as we do with the different units and individual players. But today's all just been about next Saturday, and Accrington. So I think we're used to, and the players are used to, us working in a certain way together about reviewing the game on the next day, and then start focusing on the next one. That's how we do it. We've done it, win, lose or draw. We've always been consistent with that. So there was absolutely no need to change that philosophy of ours. And so today has been about what we do next week, and that's how it has to be.
In terms of the performance, I think you said for the game that it's the best you've seen this season. What were some of the intricacies of that? What made it that good?
Well, not just this season, but since I've been here. That as a performance, as an all-round performance. The commitment to the game right from minute one, and Colchester had their spells in the first half as well, because they're a good team and they came here full of confidence as well, which I think actually added to the general feeling of the whole game. I thought it was 2 good teams that wanted to win the game. But I just felt that the real moments at both ends of the pitch, which are game defining, and we really committed to those ones. And there's been other games, and there will be in the future, where we do in spells and then we don't in spells, but I thought that was the most consistent we've been all the way through the game. I thought even before we scored, I thought we could have scored a couple. But even though it was disappointing to lose the goal, I thought it was a good challenge for us, as in such a high of the crowd, going 1-0 up, being on top, then conceding. It could have gone the other way, but it didn't. The performance stayed as high as it did. Big save from Sam at 2-1, which would have put another challenge in front of us. But I thought after that we really just put it in top gear and finished the line sprinting. That's what I really liked. It was, I look at the pressing, even at 4-1 in the 93rd minute, it's still as aggressive as it was in the first. And that for me is, I know what this team and the players are capable of, but you have to go and prove it. And I thought we did that last week, but we have to do it again and again and again.
All 4 goals came from crosses as well. I know that's been a big focus. It's an important part of the style and the way that you want the team to play. What does it say about how those relationships have grown throughout the season, that all 4 of those goals came from very similar sort of actions?
Yeah, I mean, say from crosses, but when they're from wide areas, but they're inside the box. Some of them are passes, but because they're wide, it also across. But you get that close, they're actual passes, and you can take care and you can pick people out. But we committed really those runs towards the goal. We were really aggressive with them. We didn't stop at 10, 12 yards out and come out from where the bodies are and where you can score. We went all the way in. I think 3 or 4 of the goals, they were inside the 6-yard box. So that means you're fully committed to going all the way, and then the support around it. If the ball popped back out, we kept the attack going because the whole team was in the final third, keeping the attacks going. So for me, the crossing thing, I think is big in British football and English football, and in the game. If you look at the percentage of goals scored from those sort of actions, it's quite high. It's probably the highest of all the football actions you get. But we are one of the most aggressive teams in the whole football league in that aspect of it. And I don't believe we've scored enough from those sort of those events. To be honest, I don't think we've took advantage of the times we've been in there. And if you look back to the Tranmere game the week before, we had a couple of great opportunities in those areas and didn't take them, and ultimately didn't win the game. But on Saturday we scored the 4, but we could have had a couple more from those sort of same scenarios. So it's all about the players taking what we do in training, day in, day out for 10 months and trying to implement it in a game against good teams.
Once again as well, just emphasise the importance of those wing backs. We've seen how relentless at times Teo and Brad in particular work in those positions.
Well, look, they're as important as anyone else in the team. I think a lot of focus is on the central striker and the centre halves and the goalkeeper. When you talk about results, because they're sort of mainly in front of the goal at both ends, but the midfielders, how they link the play, and I class them all 4 across those positions, the wing backs and the 2 central midfielders. I class them all as midfield players, and they have a big part to play in both ends of the pitch, and they knit everything together from the back 3 to the front 3. And the biggest thing for me is they commit to the attacking side of the game as much as the defending, and vice versa. We don't overemphasise either side of it. Just because they're wing backs, if you're tagging them that way, they're just defenders and don't get involved. Or we have to sometimes correct them a little bit because they're so gung ho. They forget about their defensive responsibilities a little bit. But what I like it when they're in full flow like they were last week, and we've got other players like that. Jay Ben was like that early in the season. Tyree Wright's been like that when he plays well. Lewis Richards, these players, they're involved at both ends of the pitch and they commit to the action. And it's the 1v1 stuff where they've got to be good defensively, but they've got to be aggressive in the attacking sense and not play safe. I had a little bit of a dig at Teo just before the 4th goal because he'd got into a good position and turned out and went backwards, and I think we ended up going back to Sam Walker from their final third. That's not how we do things. That we have to keep the pressure on, and the next time he got it, he carried on running, played a 1-2 with Bobby, and we scored the 4th goal. So it's good for him to see how important it is to stay relentless, to be aggressive all the way through the game. And if he wants to just have a little pass about it, he can do that on a Monday morning, but not on a match day.
Just in terms of personnel, have you picked up any fresh injuries on the back of that game, or did everyone come through okay? There
was a couple of dead legs and a couple of little bruises and stuff, but nothing extraordinary from a normal game of football. So everyone has trained this week who was available for us last week, so that's a positive. We've had good numbers in training. And another week for Kieran, another week for Bobby, another one for Pato, which is really important for those guys coming back from injury, without having to utilise them too much last Saturday, which was a bonus for us as well. And so they'll be in a better place coming into this Saturday's game. And everyone's trained as you'd expect them to when we're in this position. That
trio you mentioned there, are they in a position yet where you could start them, or are you still managing their minutes a little bit?
I feel 2 out of 3 we could start. I think the other one needs a little bit more time, a little bit more training time, so I won't say which one in my mind, but Look, I think they all want to play, definitely. I know that. I can tell that by how they trained in the last couple of days and how they are anyway as players. But yeah, I think that's a decision for me to make come Friday to sort of try and take into account what the players have done last Saturday previously and what we've got just in front of us as well. So it's another game, after having what we would call a relative break with 3 weeks of no midweek games, but obviously next week we've got 3 games in a week, so we have to try and use our squad to the full potential it has.
Jack Shepherd, I know he missed out with a bit of a precaution over that hip. Is he good to go?
Yeah, Jack trained yesterday and today, so we'll see how he is on Friday. See how he's responded to these 2 days of training. We sort of pulled him back from the weekend. He didn't have to do as much as what the players would usually do if they weren't involved, because we just wanted to give him that time for his issue to calm down. But he's trained full out today, so yeah, it's good to see, because we want all our players as fit as they can be.
Callum Johnson as well, similar?
Yes, Callum as well, yeah. So Callum's been training for 10 days solid now, so that's good. It's important that these boys, they understand how consistent they have to be with their training load to be able to then be available to go into games. We can't throw them into games of football at the end of the week if they've had a broken week too much or a broken couple of weeks, because I think then they're exposed to more injury issues. So yeah, they've both trained this week fully, and they both looked in good shape today. How close is Anthony Sarcevic getting, if at all? Not really, no. It's just steady progress away. So yeah, Sarce is a good while away from us, unfortunately. But we'll obviously we keep pushing him at the right levels, not too aggressively, and listen to Sarce, because Sarce knows his body. He's an experienced player, and but he's desperate to be back, as they all are. They all want to be involved, and but we've had that all season. They've been desperate to play. So yeah, but it'll be a little while. Is there a chance to still feature again this season, or? I don't really. I couldn't comment really, to be honest. It's I don't know, to be honest. Yeah, look, he's making steady progress. I don't know how quick that should be in accordance to his return to playing or training. It's one of those when it's a significant time, I don't really pay too much attention to it until it gets closer and closer, because I don't want to be badgering the medical team, every week for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is, about a player that's so far ahead. But we keep it abreast, and we get good reports from the medical team about all the players. So it's, the sooner he's back, the better for everyone. Even if he's not playing, and I know this is a point we've mentioned before, how important is he around the group? Similar to an Andy Cook, for example, who we got to speak to at the weekend. He said that at other clubs you might be sort of shut out a little bit when you are a player who's got a long-term injury, but he feels so involved and still very much part of the group. How important is Anthony alongside Andy Cook and others? Yeah, they're all important to us. There's not a player in that squad that's not important to us as a football club and as a staff. And even young players who haven't even made a debut, they're all important to us. I think they need to feel the value of Bradford City. They need to feel the value of me and the staff. But if they're experienced players like that, they've been in the team. They're senior players. When we have our unit meetings, defenders, attackers, whatever it is, if they play in that position, they come in on the meetings and they give their opinion if we want it, or if they want to give it. They can suggest something. They can have a difference of opinion on that, because I think it's important. I think players have a real a closer relationship between themselves than they do from player to staff. That's just natural. So I think sometimes it's good for a player who's playing to hear something from me, hear from the other staff, but also from one of his teammates who might not be involved in the game but see it from a different perspective, or actually strengthen our opinions as well. So I think we it's not just on the pitch that we value our players, it's in everything they do. So it's important for those guys, because I think they've made, obviously Cookie's the longest serving player, so he's been here for a while. Sarce made such a great impression on everybody since coming in, and it's important for them to still be around the place. So Sarce out on the training pitch, Cookie's doing his bike session on the side of the training pitch today on a static bike, because he wants to be involved. So the more people want to be around us, I think the stronger the group is.
And just finally, Graham, I know your main focus will be on yourselves going into this weekend, but what do you make to Accrington at the minute?
Look, I think we didn't play them that too long ago, to be honest, and we've analysed them. They haven't changed that much from when we played them last time, and last time was a really tight game and a tough game, so we'll be expecting the same type of game tactically, maybe, but at home, Accrington is renowned for being a tough place to go and play and to go and win, so we won't be expecting anything. We always plan for everyone's best game, including our own. That's the best way for us to approach it, and we won't be changing that approach. And but it'll be a competitive game, I'm sure.
Cheers, Graham. Best of luck. Cheers.
You're saying Graham back, obviously being aggressive and going in for those chances and getting those goals. I mean, George Lapsley getting 2 of those.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of player. I mean, is that how you sort of see George as a player, that sort of midfield player who makes those runs into the box? And
Yeah. No, it's look, we anyone who plays in those 4 positions, whether we're 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, they have to commit to goal scoring areas. It's why we brought them in, because they, we're not getting, defence minded midfield players and then trying to turn them into goal scorers. We've seen what they've done in the past. They might not have the numbers we feel they're capable of, but it's if we see them consistently running in there and taking opportunities to run, you might not always get your rewards, but if you've got the intent and the commitment and the fitness to keep doing it, then I think you've got a chance of being a good player for us as a club. So we recognise that in George. We talked to a couple of people about him as well, who talked really highly of him and said his energy you will love. He can score a goal. He's been in really good form, 2 braces in a couple of weeks, so but he scores in training. So I think if you score in training, you've got a chance of scoring in games. That's how I see it. So we play a lot of competitive football in our training to give the players the opportunity to do that. And I spoke to you guys about George a few weeks ago. When we were Saturday, Tuesday, we were hardly training. He felt so frustrated he didn't have the opportunity to show us what he was capable of. We've had 3 weeks of solid training now, and he's shown us what he's capable of, in training, and he's taken it into games. So, all the players that we brought in January, we feel have brought really good value to the squad, to add it to the quality we already had. But we feel Tommy can score goals, Brandon can score goals from midfield, George can score goals, Michael obviously has already scored goals. So, we feel we have players that can do that for us, and George is one of those.
I think probably what also showed his confidence, the fact that George, had chances the week before against Trafford, and and it might have made some players might have thought twice a little bit the following weekend, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's what pleased me the most about his goals. And that's the same for every player that makes a mistake or doesn't take an opportunity. If you shy away from the next one, then you won't be in the team. It's quite easy, because we accept mistakes, we accept that things might not go to plan, but as long as you commit to it and you try, when you
have a go rather than just
100%, 100%. It was it's important to us, that you commit, you understand that it's not always going to go right, but then go and try it again. You try again. As long as you're trying the right things, we will stick with you and support you and back you all the time. It's when you start shying away from it, and we know the difference. We can see it. We know when players should be. We know where they should, what they should be thinking of when they're trying to create goals. And that's why I had to go at Teo, before the 4th goal, because he started turning back, and he'd been on such good form the whole game, taking people on, being aggressive. And then he started to take it easy and go backwards. That's not us. You have to build up habits, and you have to, and even if it fails, keep doing it. And so Teo was a case of that. George was a case of that, missing that chance the week before, but then he's took 2 chances this week from identical positions, really. So really positive for him, and really positive for the players, because he's made a really good impression on everyone as well. Because it's a really test of your character when you come to a new club and you don't get straight in the team, and sometimes he wasn't on the bench, but you're still a good player, and you're still respectful of your teammates, and you're still a good trainer. I think that's where you build up your rapport with your players. So when he scored those goals, absolutely everybody at this club was so happy for him, because he's a great guy.
And obviously, looking at your form, I mean, I think it's 48 points you've got at home, which it's only Birmingham in the country got more than that. It's an incredible record there. Obviously, away from home, I think you're about 12th, 13th in the division.
Okay.
You know, the next two and 4 days away from home. I mean, you've got the 5 wins now, 3 since the new year, and so it's sort of. Is it that?
It's a lot of days. Where are you going with it?
You feel like, you know, sort of that's
we need to win more away games.
that's the one piece in the jigsaw that you just need to sort of slot in at the moment. So,
yeah. I think that's fair to say. You know, look, I think if we were matching our home record away from home, then we'd be home and dry. But you know, that's not the scenario. And as long as we keep picking up points, and I think we have made good progress since January in our away form. Disappointing in the couple of games we have lost, because I felt we deserved at least a draw, but that's how, you know, in a couple of those games I actually felt, well, we dropped a point rather than losing 3, to be honest, because I felt a draw would have been a fair result. But then we've picked up a couple of really good wins, certainly late on, you know, Bromley and Salford. So yeah, look, we don't change our approach, home or away. But there's different sort of aspects to a game away from home for, you know, when we go to an opponent, and we have to make sure that we overcome those challenges and overcome whatever's put in front of us, and just stay true to what we are, which I feel we have done. You know what I mean? I think we just, if we'd have had maybe 2 more wins away from home, I think we could say that was a fair enough for us. You know, when we played Colchester last time, we should have won that game. So there's a couple of them, but that's what football is, and we have to just make sure those margins go our way if we can. Is there
still that, you still sense that within the group there's that confidence doesn't sort of waver just because you're not at Valley Parade? No chance. I don't. If I felt that, we would try to adjust things. We have done a couple of months ago, where we sort of noticed a small pattern forming, so we made a couple of changes to how we plan, how we prepare, but still playing the same way. Which paid dividends, but we have to go again and try and improve again. But I don't think it's anything that's hampering the players' mindset. I think they're in a good place. I think they know they're a good team. But we have to understand what the challenges are. I think we've understood what the challenges are at Valley Parade really well over the last 12 months. I think we have to do the same away from home. But the problem you've got is it's probably the same sort of things we have to face at home at Valley Parade, where away from home it can differ, the challenges. So it's just about that really. But no, we've got a good enough team to win any game of football, home or away.
You've spoken a lot over the season about the type of players you wanted to bring in when you were recruiting. And on Saturday, with that atmosphere, and seasons gone by, that seemed to weigh on the team, but now you've got players in there that relish playing in front of a crowd like that. Well,
they looked that way last week, without a doubt. You know, I didn't see anything of a doubt or a nervousness about going into that game. It was just. I said before the game, lads, they're here for you. They're here because they believe in you. You brought them in the gates. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Understand that, and I think over time, the players have understood that the supporters want them to do well. You know what I mean? Listen, they're all going to show their disappointment or frustration. There's not a football ground in the world that doesn't do that. So, you know, it's no different here. Probably a little bit louder. But if we commit to the games in the way they expect, then they'll always back us. And I think we saw that last week. So it's took time, you know, and because I think even this season, we started off with a couple of wins, but then a couple of draws, so it wasn't all our way. But once we start understanding the challenge, relishing the backing and the support we got and saw as a positive, I think that's where our wins have come from, you know, and our comfort of playing at Valley Parade. I think it's been really important to us, and the players have been superb in how they've approached that. But like you say, I think it was maybe a different challenge last week, with the expectancy of the numbers coming in, the expectancy of the opponent coming to us as well in really good form, and I thought we matched both challenges in the exact way that a professional footballer should.
And something Aidan mentioned to us when we spoke to him was catching out the corner of his eye, the substitutes warming up, urging the team on, that there's that all in it together attitude.
Yeah, it's you know, I think It's something we talk about a lot, and we talked about last season. I talked to a few individuals about body language and about support, and I started with Richie because he's the captain, he's the leader. About me and him sort of setting the benchmark of support for people making a mistake, and just having a positive mindset, and hopefully other people will buy into it. And if you get teammates doing that, so you'll see it quite regular, I think. When we review the games, someone makes a mistake and you'll see 2 or 3 players clapping him and encouraging him to try it again. But then it's drifted into the lads on the bench. So when they're on the wall, you see them supporting and jumping on the celebrations. Not only that, but urging them to get forward. I remember Hunty doing it a month ago, urging Teo to go on an overlap in the game, doing my job for me. Brilliant, perfect. And when we did the clips this morning, when they report back to us the units, Aidan picked out a clip where it was about Hunty on the sideline encouraging the players. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That's sort of the culture and environment you want to create, where the players take it on and they're empowered to create whatever they want, and people have the opportunity all the time. You can moan about someone or you can change it. And what these players have done have changed it to go, we like being in this environment, and people who are not playing are supporting the ones who are playing. They come in the team, they come out of the team, everyone's on the same boat. It's a great place to be, and but there's a lot of work and there's a lot of communication goes out and a lot of effort, a lot of discipline as well, because it's easy to feel sorry for yourself, have a little sulk, but I think the players have understood that it gets you nowhere. So let's just be positive. So, but it's good that they recognise that in each other, so they're not just watching what goes on the pitch, also aware of the support they get off it.
Cheers.
So you talked a little bit about the relationships between the players and the coaches, and having that positive intent. How do you go about creating that sort of relationship within the team and making sure that they do have that sort of positive intent and it's reflecting on the field?
Communication, I think, is really important. Setting what you expect or what you want to see. So we ask players, what do you want the environment to be? What do you want when you come into work every day? I'm sure if you ask everyone and they want a positive environment, they want an ambitious environment, and they want to feel worth and they want to feel value, but they want to be pushed hard. I think they want to compete, and so we get that early on, and then we keep them to the things they asked us to help them create, really, and so that's what it is. And then constantly reminding people if they let themselves down or they let somebody else down, and I hold myself to account on that, because I started a year ago with Richie. I said, I see a mistake on the pitch, and then I see me bouncing up and down like a madman on the sideline. So I'm not setting a good standard either. So I'm going to try and be better. Richie, you try and be better, and let's try and help everyone better. But if me and you are not doing it, no one else is going to do it. So it just started off with that, and then one of the buys into it, and then it becomes that. It becomes it's contagious. I think if you're around people that are positive and want to create good things, I think if you've got anything about you, I think you buy into it, and I think that's what they've done. I think and that's not down to me or to Richie. I think it's down to them all, because you do have a choice. You can say, no, it's not for me, and not be that way, or you can actually say, no, I'm going to be a part of this, and I'm going to try and help the people around me. And I think that's what they've tried to do. And but it constantly needs nurturing and encouraging, because it's easy to slip back into I don't know, old habits. So I do check myself first before I talk to any others about it as well.
So do you think that's been the biggest factor in the sort of change that Bradford City has had this season? Because you've had a great season, and do you think that was been the pivotal factor in getting you to the position you're in at the minute?
I wouldn't say it's pivotal. I think it's one component of it. I think having good players, having good people, I think they're the two most important things. Having support for me as a manager, from people around me, above me, the staff I have every day. That's pivotal for me. But a will to win, a will to prepare to win, a will to do what it takes, and not just try and skip a few steps and expecting it to happen. Well, there's steps that you have to make to give yourself a chance to win. So I think there's so many aspects into creating a winning team, and we haven't been successful yet. So I'll call you up on that a little bit, because we haven't been. But we've had a strong season so far.
Yeah.
We're in a good position. But I think all these little things, what we try to do is look at all the little things that help create a good environment for people, because I believe it's easier to then do your best. And maybe I didn't look at that sort of stuff when I was a younger manager. The longer I've worked and the more I've seen it, I think the more important it is for everybody. And because I think it's still, even if the results don't go for you, it's still an environment you want to be a part of. And I think that's what we've done well as a whole club, to be honest. And the supporters have 100% played their part in that as well.
Thank you. So, quick last one. What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge in this game that's coming up?
I think it's the same challenge we face every week. Motivated teams, fit, organised, with their own will to win, with their own ambitions to win 3 points. So the challenges are there week in, week out. The competitive level of English football is the highest in the world, in my opinion, and see that all through the divisions. So I think we've got into the habit of understanding that challenge and never letting it catch us by surprise. And so I don't think Saturday will be any different in that respect to what we faced week in, week out for 10 months. We just have to be good enough to overcome it. So, but like I say all the time, we have to get our own house in order before we think about anyone else's. And the players know how to do that, and I believe they'll do it again.